How's everybody doing? All right? Ready for a little open forum Q&A? Boy, I'll tell you, if you are a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals, you don't like the news today. Your quarterback, Joe Burrow, was carted off the field, and apparently he has a calf strain. Man, oh man. And I'll tell you this, don't think that that's not a big deal because calf injuries can linger. So you got to hope the best for Burrow. This is not the way. And again, I know it's July, so that is the good news. But ask anyone that's had a calf strain; those things can really linger. So hopefully that is not the case with Joe Burrow. All right, fire away with your questions today. Glad to have you here on If You Don't Like That. NFL training camps. They're all underway. Brock Purdy looks good with San Francisco. Those are the reports. Arm strength, very good. So if you are a fan of the 49ers, if you can keep your quarterback upright this year and keep him healthy, I think the 49ers have a really good chance in the NFC this year. I think they're loaded. They got the skill positions. They've got the defense. Obviously, they've got to get Bosa, in camp and get him on the field, and I think that they will. So, I'm not too worried about that in July. Yeah, let's go is right. Kenneth says, let's go, Grant. Let's fire up this Thursday night. I'm right with you, buddy. Let's fire it up. All right. You can ask me any questions that you have on your mind as it pertains to my lawsuit. We are very happy with the ruling from the judge this week as my case is proceeding full steam ahead. And we are very much looking forward to our day in court. And again, I'll keep you posted. But the judge has accepted two of our claims for our lawsuit. And I'm, again, very hopeful that this thing will be rectified and will be resolved to our satisfaction. And I think I speak for a lot of the people. I think what's gone on in this country is beyond sad. I think I have clearly, without any debate, been a victim of cancel culture. And I think it's wrong, not just for me, but for others. And so we'll see what happens, We'll see what happens. All right, Kenneth says Bosa, Armstead, Hargrave, and the Drake Jackson, quarterback's worst nightmare, and hopefully we'll make it that much easier in the secondary. You're right about that. Here's the deal. I'm not worried about guys that aren't on the practice field in July. I'm not really worried about guys that aren't on the practice field in the first half of August. I would like to have them be on the field for at least 2 weeks before the first game. But, there you have it. John's checking in. Hello, John. Great seeing you this evening, Grant. Come fight the good fight. Got my sleeves rolled up to my freaking neck, John. You know that. Got them rolled up to my freaking neck. Absolutely. So, again, I'm not going to sit here and lie. This has not been an enjoyable process. All right. I don't want that to be misconstrued. All right. It's not an enjoyable process to go through, but it's a necessary one. And so we're doing everything that we can do. Cody says, hope Joe Burrow is okay. He better be okay. He is their franchise. Again, the fact that I shouldn't say the middle of July. That would be wrong. It's the end of July. Keep on saying middle of July. I guess I should look at my freaking calendar, Napier. It's not the middle of July. It's the end of July. Wake the hell up, would you please? Middle of July, my ass. It's the end of July. Look at the calendar. What's wrong with you? It's almost August. Wake up. So I'm not worried about guys that aren't in camp at the end of July or the first couple of weeks in August. All right? There you have it. We got Patrick checking in from Long Island, New York. Hello, sir. He says, hey, Grant. Absolutely. We have got this one saying, hey, Grant, do you see Saquon staying with the Giants past this season? Yeah, if he has a good year. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you, the Giants, to me, are a team that, like last year, I shouldn't say like last year because they surprised everyone. There are big expectations for the Giants this year. I'm not so sure that they might not be a little overvalued right now. We'll see. I mean, I love getting Darren Waller. I mean, I think that makes the Giants so much better offensively. And if Saquon does stay healthy, I think the Giants will be among the top NFL offenses in the NFC. I really do. I think they'll be right up there. Now, the question is, will their defense be able to hold the fort down? Inside linebacker, key. So, pass rush, very good up front with Williams, Dexter Lawrence. So, you got Ojulari. You have, your top pick from last year in Thibodeau. I mean, you've got some pieces. It's all about health in the National Football League, It really is. Just the way it is. All right, let's see what we have here. This one from Drought, 16 years. Grant, when do you see Seattle getting an NBA team again? Within 5 years, I think they will have an NBA team. I think within 5 years. The question is it going to be an existing team or an expansion team? It looks to me at the moment it's going to be an expansion team. So, Grant, how is it watching late live sports on the East Coast? For example, Yankees night games when they play California teams. I don't watch them. It's too late. I mean, the games don't even start until 10 or 10:30 at night. I mean, it's a real problem. Even Monday Night Football. They moved it up a half hour, but a lot of times the games don't end till midnight. The championship game, NCAA championship, both football and basketball, very late. Very late. So it's not easy. You're if you're on the West Coast, you got the life. Sometimes you could say the games start too early. If the game is on the East Coast and it starts at 4:00 Pacific. But I'd rather have a game start at 4:00 Pacific than 9:00 or 10:00 or 10:30. I mean, games that start at 10 or 10:30, I very rarely see anything past the halfway point. I just don't. I just don't. All right. Good question. Kenneth wants to know, do I think that Saquon hurt the other future running back contracts by accepting such a low offer with a chance of still getting franchised next year? No. I don't think it affects anything. I think that the system for running backs is what it is. It's been determined. I mean, it's not changing. So I don't think it really matters what Saquon did or did not do. It's not like all of a sudden the Giants are going to find a suitcase of money and go, oh, yeah, here, we were hiding this in the back room. It doesn't work like that in football. You got a hard cap. You got to manage the cap. You have to put a value on every position. It's not like the Giants don't love Saquon Barkley. They love the guy. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. It's a business. So, we'll see what happens. Saquon is in camp, and it's not going to change. The collective bargaining agreement is what it is. And when you get a new CBA, maybe that will change this system for running backs. The biggest problem I see in the National Football League, there needs to be a cap on how much you can pay any one individual. Like, it's absurd to me, that Justin Herbert is currently the highest paid player in the NFL at $52.5 million average a year. It's absurd. That's the problem in the NFL. That's the system that needs to be changed. You can't be paying Justin Herbert $52.5 million a year and then have $10 million left over for your running back. That's the biggest problem. And when you look at what Aaron Rodgers did, now he's got a ton of money, but he gave back $35 million in total cap to the Jets. Think about that. Why would let's say another quarterback of his stature, and by his stature I'm talking about with that kind of money, say, all right, I'm willing to restructure my deal to take some less money so you can help me get better players on the field, which gives me a better chance of succeeding. That's the point I have. That's the problem I have. That you are right when you say, Kenneth, I would say the same about Jaylen Brown. You are right. Here's another one. Jaylen Brown's contract is overpaid. It is. It is. But in basketball, you have loopholes to be able to do that and still have money left over. You can be a tax team. You can pay the luxury tax. It's expensive, but, that's what Joe Lacob has done with the Warriors. He pays the tax. So, yeah, is he overpaid? Yeah, I mean, should he be the highest paid player in basketball? No. But it's the right time, and that's the business model of the Boston Celtics. So I'm not really sure, what the answer is. But in football with a hard cap, I think the answer is there needs to be a hard cap on what you can pay one player. I just think it's wrong. I do. I just think it's absurd. When I want you to think about this for a minute. Now, I understand that in the NFL, there's guaranteed money, but let's just say the guaranteed money is, again, we're talking guaranteed money. All of these guys are getting guaranteed money near $200 million. Okay? Deshaun Watson got his whole contract guaranteed. So that means you don't have to worry about what happens if I get hurt. You're still going to get your 160, 180, $200 million. What kind of life can you not live on with that kind of money? Even, let's just say you lose, let's say you got 180 guaranteed. Let's say you lose, including agent fees and taxes, 50%. All right? You're in the clear of $90 million. $90 million. What is it that you're not going to be able to do if you have guaranteed net of $90 million? I mean, come on. There you go. Cody has an interesting chat message. Aaron Rodgers gave New York Jets money, so the blame can't be pointed at him when things go south. There you have it. Appreciate the love. Hit the thumbs up button, people. Some people don't deserve it. Grant genuinely does. I appreciate the love. Thank you very much. All right. Do I think that Jaylen Brown is a top 15 player? I do, yes. I mean, he was second All-NBA team last year. That's why he was able to get the super expense, or the super max, I should say. The super max. All right, hey, glad to have you on board. I want to tell you about the West Side Grill coming to Bennett's, all right, in the Blue Oaks Town Center. As a matter of fact, you can get a sneak peek from Brian Bennett with some goodies. And all you need to do is check out my Twitter handle at Grant Napier Show, or you can you can listen to my podcast and my video rant from today, where the link is on there. And all you got to do is click on the link, fill out the quick form, and you might be going to Bennett's with the owner, Brian Bennett. Bennett's, prime seafood and steaks. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. All right. And you see my Twitter handle is at Grant Napier Show. Right before I came on today, I put the link on the show. All right. So the link is there. So you should be good to go. All right. My rant, everything else, but on my Twitter handle at Grant Napier Show, click on the link and maybe you will be at the soft opening private tour with Brian Bennett. Well, I would say this about some of these messages that I'm getting. Kenneth says at one point, Mike Conley was the highest paid player. It's all about timing. It is all about timing. Absolutely correct. Here's one. Tatum and Brown will never win a championship together. I think it would have happened already. Your thoughts? I think that's way premature. They're both entering their prime. Why could they not win a championship together? Now you got a new look. You lose Marcus Smart, but you have Porzingis. I don't agree with you at all. I think they could win a championship together. We're not talking about guys that are 33 and 34 years old. So, yeah, absolutely. This question from Zachary. Do I know if Brock's injury affects him from full potential? Not based on what I'm hearing. Based on what I'm hearing, he looks outstanding at practice. So, no, I wouldn't think so. But I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen 2 or 3 months from now as it relates to the arm. Is it healed and fully healed and, it's good to go? I mean, I would think that's what the answer is, yes. Absolutely. The question is, so what do they have to pay Tatum then? Brown's not even the best player on his team, and Tatum is younger. Well, Tatum's already got his deal done, so they got both guys signed, sealed, and delivered. All right. Somebody says that's why they lost Smart. That's a huge deal, right? Well, they got Kristaps Porzingis, who's coming off a tremendous year with Washington. So it's not like they got chopped liver back. And I like Marcus Smart. I think he's a hell of a player, but they didn't win a championship with Smart, with Brown and Tatum. So they're changing things around a little bit. So is it a big deal? Yeah, you lost a really good player, but like the Kings lost a really good player in Tyrese Halliburton, but they got a really good player back in Domantas Sabonis. A lot of times, you forget, in order to get a good player, you have to give up a good player. So what you're doing is you're changing the pieces around, hoping that it's a better fit together, as a team. You can't just forget about that. Yeah, they didn't lose Marcus Smart for nothing. They lost Marcus Smart and gained Kristaps Porzingis. All right, let's get to some more questions here on the open forum Q&A. If healthy, how far do the Warriors go next season? If healthy, I think they could make it to the conference finals. If healthy. I mean, they still have a lot of talent. So I can't imagine them being healthy, though. Why would I think they're going to be healthy when they haven't been healthy in the last several years? And now you have 38-year-old Chris Paul. I don't see it, Interesting question. I wonder if Marcus Smart can revive the Grizzlies culture and get Ja's head back on straight. That's a fabulous question. As Morant misses the first 25 games of the season. That is going to be very interesting. What happens? All right? What happens? I think that we make too much of the impact in the locker room with that team. Said, I think Smart's impact in the locker room, and now he's not there, is the difference maker. You don't know anything about the impact in the locker room because you're not in the locker room. I'm not in the locker room. Okay? Who's to say that the culture is not going to be better in the locker room? I'm not saying Marcus Smart was a problem. That's not the point I'm trying to make, but sometimes we make too much out of that. Sometimes as fans, we look to areas that don't need to be looked at. Okay? I mean, very often we come up with things to make us as sports fans sound knowledgeable when we really don't know what the real story is. So I would just say this. It's an interesting question, but I would say, well, let's just wait and see. All right? There you have it. Cody asked, Grant, do you think it's good news for the Charlotte Hornets fans having new ownership? Yeah, Michael Jordan was a terrible owner. Terrible. Awful. I mean, that as great as Michael Jordan was as a player, he obviously had no clue on being an owner and putting a good team on the floor. Now, I know he hired a general manager, and I understand, but let's face it, he had a lot of power in the decision making. That's where we're at. All right. There we have it. All right. Here we go. This is from, let's see, the trade topic ties to one thing I learned in economics class in college at Humboldt State, now known as Cal Poly Humboldt. Trade is good exhibit 1 would be the trade between the Kings and Pacers. You had to go to college and you had to study economics to learn that? Are you like trying to punk me here? Hello? You got to go to college to learn that the trade between the Kings and the Pacers was a good trade? Huh? Am I missing something here? Did I not read that right? The trade topic ties to one thing I learned in economics class in college at Humboldt State. Trade is good. Exhibit 1 with the trade between the Kings and Pacers. I went to Bowling Green. I didn't learn that in college. I missed that one. But I learned what a good trade was when I was in grade school. I learned what a good trade was then. The Yanks made a trade with the Twins one year. I learned at age 5 that the trade that the Yankees made with the Boston Red Sox to get Babe Ruth was a really good trade. I learned that at 5 when my dad took me to Yankee Stadium and we were watching Mickey Mantle play. And he was telling me about Babe Ruth. And he was telling me that the Yankees acquired him from Boston. And I'm like, wait a minute, he wasn't on the Yankees when he began his career? My dad said, nope. And at age 5, I said to my dad, man, that's a really good trade. 5 years old, sitting in the upper deck in left field at Yankee Stadium. 5 years old. Told my dad, wow, that's a good trade for the Yankees. I'm looking at his monument at center field on the warning track. Yeah. Age 5. So my dad said, you see out there at center field, you see those statues, those monuments? I said, yeah. He goes, one of those are Babe Ruth. I'm like, wow, that's a really good trade. I didn't know what the word exhibit made, so I don't think I said to my dad, gee, would that be exhibit 1? But I did say to my dad, man, that's a really good trade. You know, I'm just busting your chops, right? He said, no, I got a business degree there. You know, I'm just busting your ass, right? We're having fun. It's called entertainment. I'm sure you did. All right. That was my little mini rant. All right. That's my little mini rant. But you don't need to go to college to learn what a good trade is in sports. It's okay, buddy. You know, I'm just busting your ass. All right. All good. I'm just having fun with you. All right. Just like when people have fun with me on the stream and give me a hard time about stuff, it's all good. You know, just among the boys here, okay? No disrespect to any of the females that are on the stream, but we're all good, all right? All right, there we have it. All right, let's move on. I picked on him enough. I don't want to do that, all right? There we have it. It's a very good question, Patrick. I didn't see Shane and Dable trash Judge publicly like Sean Payton did to Hackett today. Very low class by Sean Payton. And I like it. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, Lonnie. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know what Sean Payton's thinking of. You know, I don't. Why do that? You know, why do that? Do I ever talk? Lance wants to know, do I ever talk to JB or any of the old bench mob squad? And who overall was the best player in the locker room for the Kings team? That's easy. Vlade Divac was clearly the guy in the locker room. He kept that whole team together. I do. I stay in touch with JB. I stay in touch with a lot of the players on the bench mob. Scott Pollard is a dear friend of mine. There are others that I've stayed in touch with. You know, when Hito was there, I still am very close with Hito. You know, Bobby, obviously, for years, I would play in Bobby's golf tournament. He would play in my golf tournament. I'm so happy for Bobby that he's now with the 76ers coaching staff. Yeah, so Jim Jackson for a while was part of that. I see Jim, used to see him quite often on the circuit. So, yeah, absolutely, you know. All right. Speaking of sports, rants, can we get a live rant right now, please, from the best to ever do it? Well, I kind of did a rant. I didn't go totally off, but can you give me some topics? Grant, have you jumped on the soccer bandwagon? No. I am not watching women's soccer. I have been very clear about this. First of all, I am not that big of a soccer fan. So let me, first of all, be very transparent about this. I don't watch much soccer. So I think that's first and foremost that I need to say. I don't watch much soccer, but this women's national team has turned me off so much so that I won't watch it. And I will not watch anything that Megan Rapinoe is involved in. I think she is an absolute disgrace. And I do not want to support anything that she's involved in, period. So if you're asking me if I'm watching the United States women's team, the answer is no. If you ask me, am I rooting against them? No, I'm not rooting against them. I'm not going to root against the team that is playing for the United States, but I'm not rooting for them. All right. I'm not sitting here when their match is going on going, wow, I can't wait to see the score and I hope they win. I'm not. I'm also not hoping that they lose. So, no, I'm not watching it. All right. I'm not. Again, here's another question. All good. Are you watching the Women's World Cup? The U.S. got a draw against the Netherlands last night. Can you see the U.S. not winning the World Cup? Again, I'm not the person to ask as far as the powers of women's soccer, around the globe. So I can't do it. Let's see. This is a text message. I read a story about your case in court. Reddit's not getting dismissed. Update? No, it's not getting dismissed. The judge ruled in our favor on my political speech and by wrongful termination. And so we are moving forward with the lawsuit. So no, it is not getting dismissed. It is not getting dismissed. So thank you for checking in. I'll keep you updated whenever I can. All right. There we have it. Somebody asked, just curious if I'm a soccer fan in general. No, I'm not a soccer fan. I watch it occasionally. I'm just not. Now, I would say this. I did watch the World Cup final between Argentina and France, and I thought that was a phenomenal spectacle. Phenomenal. I watched the whole match. I did think that was phenomenal. I really do. That was a phenomenal World Cup final. Phenomenal. But I think that was the only match I watched. I take that back. I did watch the U.S. and when they lost the match that they had to win to get out of their pool, or the match that they lost to eliminate them from the tournament, I should say. I can't even remember off the top of my head who they were playing, but I did watch that match as well. There you have it. All right. There we have it. You know what? You can do the research yourself. Just Google Megan Rapinoe, and you can either put Megan Rapinoe controversy or Megan Rapinoe, and you can do a little work yourself. All right. There you have it. So, all right, here's a really good question. Sean asks, what's your opinion on the state of sports talk radio? I'm finding it almost unlistenable lately. Unbelievable that Larry Krueger was fired from KNBR. Sports radio is a dying breed compared to the way it was a short period of time ago. The reality is that a lot of people in the industry that have been doing it for a long time, such as myself and such as Larry Krueger, are finding that you can work on a format like this, still make an income, and work when you want and how you want without anybody breathing down your neck. And you don't have to get in your car and drive through traffic and walk into a studio and go to work. You can take your laptop and your equipment, and you can do your show from Europe, Australia, Asia, Idaho, wherever you want. All you need is the internet. And you can come on at 4 in the morning or 4 in the afternoon. And all you need to do is notify your audience. And that's why it's really important, if you haven't already done so, to please hit the subscribe button so that whenever I do a show, and I will be doing impromptu shows, you get notified. And you're like, wow, Napes is coming on in 10 minutes. I didn't even know that. Well, if you hit the subscribe button, you'll be notified. You're not going to be getting emails. You're not going to be getting bothered. You're not going to be getting spam mail. You're not going to be getting calls. It's just you hit the subscribe button. That way you know when I'm doing my work. All right? So there you have it. Thank you for that. It was the Netherlands. That's correct. That beat the U.S. men's team in Qatar. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I could not remember who they lost to. So you asked me about sports talk radio. One of the biggest complaints that I've had about sports talk radio is there are too many that are on sports talk radio that never leave the studio. So they talk as if they know what's going on, but you don't see them in the locker rooms after games, and you don't see that bothers me. All right. That's one of the issues. The other issue is the market is so saturated now because of satellite radio and because of YouTube and, Periscope and TikTok, and we can go on and on. People now want to watch and listen to their favorite content when it's convenient for them. Not convenient for me, convenient for you. And so right now I don't have a ton of people on this channel at, what is it, 32, right? Okay. And I've got people also watching via Periscope. I don't know what the numbers are on that. But when I download this to an audio-only format, which I will do when I'm off this stream, and I put it on my podcast platform and my webpage, I will have a significant 4-digit audience, okay? So not a lot of people are watching my content necessarily live, but a lot of people are watching my content when they want to watch it and listen to it. So this number for people that go to YouTube will increase by a couple of hundred, but the people that listen to it on my audio platform, it will be a 4-digit number. So, that's really where we're at with absorbing our content. Look at Joe Rogan. Look at the money he's making on his podcast. Most people don't listen to his podcast live. Most people are listening to it when they're working out, going for a walk, on the train, going to work, in the car. That's the life we're living in, That's it. All right. Someone says, Grant, congrats on the judge ruling in your favor. I'm praying you win. Thank you very much. I really sincerely appreciate that. All right. I really appreciate that. This is true. A lot of the personalities don't go to the studio. They broadcast from home. I would say this, and I'd love to get your take on this, Patrick, and everyone else. All right. I don't really care where the individual that I'm watching is working from. I don't care if they're in a studio. I don't care if they're at home. I don't care if they're in a hotel room. I don't care if they're on vacation. I don't really care. It does not matter to me because I'm not watching them because I want to see where they're at. I'm watching them or listening to them for their content. So that as long as they're prepared and they know what they're talking about, I don't really care. Or if they're entertaining. It doesn't matter to me where they're at. I don't care. A lot of people have no idea where I'm at. People assume that I'm here or I'm there. People have no idea where I am. You don't have any idea where I am right now. And I bet you it doesn't matter to you. I bet you it makes no difference to you where I'm at right now and what time it is and what time zone I'm in. You don't care, do you? Like, why would you care? Like, it doesn't matter. I'm up to speed on everything that's going on. I'm watching everything, although I didn't watch the soccer match, but you get the point. Like, for me as a consumer, I don't care. It makes no difference to me. There you have it. All right. All right, here's a very interesting comment. I think another issue is that there is little to no criticism towards the home team that is being covered. There is too many commentators that salute the flag. I would say that's true, all right, to a degree in some markets, but not a lot. You don't get that in Philadelphia, you don't get that in New York, you don't get that in Boston, you don't get that in Chicago. That's not what happens. Okay? Um, I would say this as the TV voice of the Sacramento Kings for 32 years and a host on the radio for 27. I tried to be very objective. Were there times when I did not cross the line? Yeah, there were. But I was critical of the team when I had to be critical because I don't want to lose my credibility. So I think it depends what market you're in and the individual. There are a lot of vanilla cupcake hosts on radio stations. There are a lot of cupcake hosts, and they're vanilla. And then here you have the other extreme. The other extreme of that is you have young, inexperienced broadcasters who think the best way to move up in this business is to go counter to what your main talk show hosts are saying and be critical and draw attention to yourself. What they don't understand is they don't have the credibility to make comments like that. And so they end up hurting themselves as opposed to advancing in the business. That's been my experience. That's been my experience. All right. Yeah, you know what? I have not watched one Sacramento Kings game since I left. Not one. I have not watched one home telecast. So yeah, listen to Gary Gerald. You are 100% correct. Miami is a soft topic city. You're right. I don't. Do you know that since I've lived in Miami, I've never listened to one local sports talk show? Not one. Not one. Not one. I love Carmichael Dave. He's a good friend of mine, and he's unbelievably talented. He's very, very talented. If I do a book, says Matthew, you should 100% do an audiobook read by you also. I will. How about this? This is interesting. I work in Miami sports radio. The only one is Joe Rose, as he keeps it real. I appreciate that. Where do you work in Miami? Thank you for that. That's awesome. I tell you, I love Miami. I think Miami is a great place to be. I've met so many phenomenal people in Miami. You know what I like about Miami is that most of the people there are from other parts of the world, and I love that. I love an international flair. I've met so many great people from the Caribbean, from South America. I've met so many people from Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador. I mean, I can go on and on. Venezuela, that live in Miami. Great people. And I've learned so much about their culture and their way of life. I've met, a lady and her husband that work at a restaurant from Peru. And I love talking to them, about their culture and everything else. So there you have it. Well, John, I appreciate that you don't care where I am, but I'll tell you where I do wish I was, John. I wish I was next to your barbecue and you were cooking me dinner. That's where I wish I was, Absolutely. Somebody says the international flair is nice. And when you go to Broward or Palm Beach, it's like New York, New Jersey. I have experienced that. I've only been to Palm Beach and West Palm Beach maybe 2 or 3 times because I've got a good friend from Philadelphia there. And he lives on, what is it, Singer Island? Is that what it's called, Singer Island? So, but I haven't been there a lot, I have not been a lot. Well, Cody, I haven't heard commercials. He says, I hear commercials asking people to save AM radio. I guess people don't want the AM radio anymore, only FM. I guess, I guess. It is what it is. It really is. It is what it is. Okay, this individual's in Deerfield Beach, right off I-95. I'm very familiar with that. Well, I really appreciate you checking me out here on the stream. What's my favorite food in Miami? I don't really have a favorite food, but I have favorite places. One of my favorite places to go is on, well, probably my favorite place to go in Miami is Smith and Walensky's at South Point. I love sitting outdoors and people watching. And there's a huge, it's right on the water, and people roller skate, rollerblade, walk, have their dogs, and then the cruise ships, literally, you could throw a rock and hit the cruise ship. And I'm not exaggerating. And I love sitting out there in the late afternoon, early evening, and watching all the ships go by. It's fascinating. It's incredible. Like, I love that. So that probably, and then I love going to Bayside in downtown Miami. I love Bayside. Matter of fact, I used to, for me, well, I lived about a mile. I lived about a mile from Bayside, but it would take me about 20 or 25 minutes to walk there because, you can't walk across water. I know people think I walk across water. I do not walk across water. So you would have to make, go all the way down and around and back. So I love Bayside. And they just redid it. Yeah, Bayside is great. I love Bayside. It's right next to the arena. And it's awesome. If you haven't, I'll tell you this, and I would encourage anyone to go to South Florida. Boat campers for me in Fort Lauderdale Beach. Check that out. I'll put it on my list. Thank you for the recommendation. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. All right. How did I meet Ryan from Sacktown? Ryan was a huge fan and is a huge fan of the Jim Rome show. And I used to fill in for Romy all the time. And so Ryan used to be a contributor and was a supporter of mine. And then he reached out to me, I think via social media once, and I responded to him. And then he wanted to get into broadcasting, and I started to help him and gave him advice and kind of, I guess, for lack of a better term, mentored him. And now he's doing stuff with me. That's how I met him. I'm really happy. He's really, really improved incredibly in the last year. Trust me, I do not walk on water. I barely walk on concrete very well these days. So, no, Is Key West nice? Key West is unbelievable. Matter of fact, I did a podcast back in, I think it was January of 2021 when I met Virgily, who became and is one of my best friends, and I'm so happy she's getting married on December 2nd. And her family owns a house in Key West. And so we've all been down there 2 or 3 times, and her family is just delightful. Delightful. So we've gone down there and just incredible. Well, how about that, Patrick? Jim Rome is where I found you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. But her father is from Nigeria. Fabulous man, owns a big construction company. And he and I have gotten to be very close, and I respect him so much. And her family is just phenomenal. So we always go there for their house to Thanksgiving in Orlando. I've been to their house to watch the Super Bowl. We have done a lot of socializing together on special occasions, such as birthdays. But Key West, I do enjoy Key West, absolutely. A visit to Miami once is mandatory. I would agree. Miami's a great city, and I hope you do get a chance to check it out. It's, you work at 5:60 a.m. in Miami. Well, I hope that your work's going well, and good job to you. I really do. Thank you. John, of course I would come on your podcast. Are you kidding me? And I would make fun of you for the entire show, John. There you have it. It should be a fun season for Miami if Tua stays on the field. I would agree with you. They should be very good. As far as traveling, I find that, I grew up in a cold environment in the wintertime in New York. And then I went to college in Northwest Ohio. And you don't realize when you're growing up and experiencing that there's anything other than four seasons. You just don't. Like you have summer, you have fall, you have winter, and you have spring. And it is just the way it is. And that's the way it was for really the first 25 years of my life, even when I moved from Ohio to Decatur, Illinois. And you don't really comprehend what it would be like because you only know what you know, right? You don't know what you don't know. So I don't know what it's like living in Florida in the wintertime or California or other tropical climates. You don't really think about it. Your mind is programmed to think of those places only as vacation places, not like, wow, there are actually people that live there year round. Like it's not how you think when you're that age. And when I moved to California in 1987, I was like, wow. And I said to myself, I will never live in the cold again unless I absolutely have to. Okay. So once you get out of the cold, you generally don't want to go back to it. I have a lot of friends from Minneapolis that have relocated, and they're like, I'm never moving back there. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I understand. I understand completely. So, I'm now kind of spoiled. I don't even own a jacket. Like, I do not own a jacket. Nothing. I don't even have a jacket. I have two pairs of jeans. I have like a light pullover that I can wear if it gets a little bit cool. I don't own a jacket. Yeah, I don't even have a jacket. I have what? 3 sweaters? Clear it out. Gave it all to Goodwill. Gave it all to Goodwill. He says, I'm the same with that right now. Where are you from originally? Are you from South Florida? Or do you relocate? You may have told me oh, here you go. You did tell me you went to school in Southeast Ohio. So, yeah, you're like me. The hell with that, Hey, Sea-Dog, good to have you on the stream, buddy. And it happens every year. And listen, Sea-Dog, we're at the end of July. The opening night is not until what, the 8th? With the first weekend of football on the 11th, so or the 10th and the 11th. So it's this is just the tip of the iceberg. But Joe Burrow carted off the field today, with a calf injury, Yeah. What is a jacket? Very good point. I would have no idea. From Connecticut. All right. Good job right there. So, yeah, I'm done with the cold weather. I am done with the cold weather. See what's going on here. All right. So what else you want to talk about today? Anything else before we wrap this up? Absolutely. You know what? You reach out to me. I'd be happy to come on your podcast. Reach out to me. All right. Let me give you my email. Send me an email to gnapier@gmail.com. gnapier@gmail.com. And I'd be more than happy to come on your podcast. There you have it. So there aren't too many places that I've lived that I hated. There are places that I lived that weren't very good. I mean, Decatur, Illinois, for that time in my life was probably perfect for me. But boy, it's not the best place in the world to live. But for where I was in my life to get experience from age 24 to 27 being on TV, and gosh, I mean, I had the greatest experiences there. I'm at Busch Stadium covering Whitey Ball. I'm at Wrigley Field covering the Cubs. I'm at Soldier Field covering the Bears. I'm at Illinois football and basketball games. I mean, what I was covering was great. Great. I watched Sean Payton. I covered Sean Payton when he was the quarterback. uh, in school in Illinois. I didn't even realize it at the time. I would be there and shooting highlights at, what was it, Eastern Illinois? I don't know what the hell the name of the school is anymore. But yeah, I watched Sean Payton play college football quarterback, and actually was there with my video camera for getting highlights for the sports at night. So it's a pretty amazing experience. I'll tell you something else that was neat. In Decatur, they had the best women's fast pitch softball team in the country, and they were well known. And it was the ADM Staleys, I believe, or what have you. They were great, and I used to actually go and watch that a lot. That they were they were unbelievable. So yeah, Eastern Illinois. There you have it. Used to go to Eastern Illinois quite often. That's where I met one of my real fondest memories of the NFL. I was covering the St. Louis Cardinals at training camp at Eastern Illinois. Is it Mattoon, I believe? And Larry Wilson, who I used to watch as a kid, destroyed people from his safety position playing for the Cardinals, was their general manager. And I'll never forget this. I had to walk into the building, like a campus building, to get my press credential to go out onto the field. And practice had already begun. And for some reason, Larry Wilson was still in the building. He was just getting ready to leave to go watch practice. And he walks right over to me and goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just here to get my press credential. I'm Grant Napier. I'm from Decatur." And he goes, "Hey, it's very nice to meet you, Larry Wilson." I go, "Oh, wow." I said, "Listen, Mr. Wilson, I don't mean to impose, but I'm from New York, and I grew up watching you play. You're one of my favorite players that I ever watched, sitting in the bleachers at Yankee Stadium." And I'll tell you, he could not have been nicer. We actually talked about the players on his team and being at Yankee Stadium and playing against the Giants. And I'll never forget this. He said, "Listen, whatever you need, you just let me know. You are welcome here anytime. We are really appreciative that you made the drive from Decatur to come down and cover us." And Jim Hanifin was the coach, and Jim Hanifin was great. Jim Hanifin's one of those lifers. Jim Hanifin is synonymous with the National Football League. And Neil Lomax was the quarterback. And Neil, to this day, Neil is among my top 5 favorite athletes that I've ever covered. And when Neil later on in life ended up playing at the Celebrity Golf Tournament in Tahoe, when I was doing the Kings games and everything else, I interviewed Neil. And Neil comes over and he sits down and goes, "Grant, so good to see you again." And he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Oh, I'm out in Sacramento. I'm the TV announcer for the Kings." And he was so happy for me, genuinely happy for me. But he remembered me. And I was just like, wow. And Roy Green, Jetstream. Neil Lomax to Roy Green. What a combination that was. Man, great days. Great days. I do know that Tony Romo also went to Eastern Illinois. Very familiar with that. Yes, he did. So, yes, it was a softball league in Illinois, but they played around the country, not just in Illinois. It was Archers, Daniel, Midland, and Staley's. Their softball teams were the best. They used to go around the country. Absolutely. Yeah, those, I'll tell you, those were great days to get all of the experience. Thank you, John. John says you're the best, Grant. I'm not the best, but I appreciate your support. Man, when I think back to all of those days, yeah, I could easily get Neil Lomax on my podcast if I could locate him. I don't have his information, but Neil would come on my podcast in a minute. Neil Lomax, what a great man. Love Neil. And we used to talk about, he had hip surgery, and he goes, "Hey, the reason for this is the guy on your team," because he knew I was a big-time Giants fan. He goes, "Lawrence Taylor's the reason why I'm walking around with artificial hips." I go, I get it. I understand. Neil used to tell stories about game planning for Lawrence Taylor. And he goes, "You couldn't. And he goes, let me tell you something. He goes, there weren't a lot of players in the NFL that you were fearful of when you're getting ready to play. He goes, but I can assure you there wasn't one time I would ever walk out of the huddle and not look to see where number 56 was. And he goes, he was a nightmare. He goes, he goes, I don't even know how many times I've been sacked by number 56. Oh my gosh. Wow. Incredible. Yeah, Cody, Shohei Ohtani's pretty freaking good, huh? Yeah. Says Shohei Ohtani doing Ohtani things again. See the best player in baseball? I think he is, right? Grant, who's your favorite NBA broadcaster? It's been Marv Albert and will be Marv Albert forever. Number one, number one. All right. So tomorrow, what should I do tomorrow? You want me to do Listen App or you want me to do this? What do you think? This? Just hit me up. Go, you can make it real quick. Go LA or YT on the comments. All right. Go LA for Listen App, YT for YouTube. Mitch Richmond stories. Mitch was a phenomenal player. I mean, I could talk about Mitch for an hour, All right. We got Listen App. We got YouTube. We got YouTube. We got YouTube. We got YouTube. I know Sea-Dog wants me to do Listen App. He's such a phenomenal caller. Got YouTube. YouTube. Looks like I'm going to be doing it here. A lot of people like this format, YouTube. You like this, huh? You like just asking me questions? All right. Patrick says can go either way. Thank you very much, Patrick. YouTube. Well, I think I'm going to be doing it on YouTube tomorrow. Is this a good time? You like this time? This is a good time for me. Jay's here saying both are great. Thank you, Jay. I hope that you are doing well. Good for you to be joining me here on the stream. Sea-Dog is the best. Yeah. Listen App at 4. YouTube at 5. I could do that. I could do that. How about this? Let me think about this for a minute. I guess I could do that once in a while. I could do that a little bit. So we love talking to you. Well, I love the phone calls too. Do you think if I did both in a day, it would be too much? Like it would be oversaturating? Or would you be okay if I did both Listen App and YouTube? Well, I love the calls. So, I mean, I love both, A day-night doubleheader. I love that. YouTube, I'm having my wisdom teeth out tomorrow. But I love this message. Day-night doubleheader. Oh, my gosh. That is beautiful. A day-night doubleheader. Oh, my gosh. That's a classic. All right. Here's what I'll do tomorrow. All right, for everybody. John says you can do both, Grant. You can do it. Let's see. All right. Here's what we're going to do tomorrow. I'm going to do Listen App at 4 o'clock. All right. 4 o'clock tomorrow. Listen App, 5 o'clock, YouTube. How about that? Think so? Sound good? That way you can talk to me for a while at 4, and then I'll come on and do this at 5 o'clock Pacific. There you have it. You all talked me into it. I won't do that every day, but you know what? We'll wrap up the week. We'll do that tomorrow. You people are freaking awesome. You're awesome. You know who else is awesome? New Works Plumbing. They're so loyal. Love them. Service for your plumbing, your repairs. Call that number on your screen or go to sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they have got a fix for you. And don't forget to check out my link on my Twitter handle at Grant Napier Show, or you can listen to today's or watch today's rant, and I have my link on my YouTube page there as well. So you can get a sneak peek and a private tour of this beautiful new restaurant coming to Rockland. All right. That's Bennett's Prime Seafood and Steaks. And you see my Twitter handle right there, at Grant Napier Show. So it's right there for you. Easy to do. All right. Easy to do. And maybe you'll be on your way there. All right. So tomorrow, 4 o'clock, listen app, 5 o'clock, right here. Love you all. You're awesome. Each and every one of you. John, how about you, man? You got it. 4 and 5. John, that's what you wanted. So, John, here's the deal. I don't do things for free. You owe me, when I come to Sacktown, you owe me a, tri-tip, good cut of steak, whatever. You're cooking for me, John. Let's make sure we have an understanding. All right? That's part of the deal. All right? Yeah, the new Bennett's location is phenomenal. I had a tour of there last month. It's going to be awesome. You're going to absolutely love it. All right, you all are freaking awesome. Mark says, great show. Well, you make it great. Phenomenal questions today. All right, phenomenal questions. I'll see you tomorrow, 4 o'clock, listen app, 5 o'clock, right here on If You Don't Like That. Oh, boy. So long, everybody.